All right. Welcome to the First Customers Podcast. We're here with Caren Schwannauer, and her company is called Staq. Caren, good to meet you.
Thanks for having me, Paris.
Glad to have you here. Why don't you just start off by telling us about your company?
Yeah, so my name's Caren. I'm the co-founder and managing director at Staq. We're a growth consultancy. We're focused on helping tech companies scale. We do that in different areas. One of them is investment. So we help introduce them to founders and investors like VCs, business angels. The other area is partners. We help them introduce to potential business partners. And the third one is people. So we help them build successful teams along the line and through their company lifecycle.
Okay. Could you give me an example of maybe like how a client would interact with you? Like what's that process look like to give a better understanding of kind of what service your company offers?
Yeah, so it really depends on the stage the company's in. So sometimes we start talking to founders right at the start when they just have an idea about something. We kind of advise them a little bit on their product market fit, help them kind of like refine what they're looking to build. And sometimes the company might go through a bigger funding round and they're looking to build a team. And then we help them get the right people at the right time to get to the next stage, really.
Oh, okay. So you can help them grow no matter which stage they are as a company.
So we're focused from like basically pre-seed up until pre-IPO through the different rounds. Yeah, that's really our focus. Most of the companies we're working with are a bit on the earlier side, so like seed stage, Series A, Series B. But we also have some clients that are like pre-IPO that really want to like nail down everything before that.
Okay, so if somebody walks in off the street and they just have an idea, is that the level of company that you can help, or do they have to have a little more than that?
Yeah, so I love talking to those people because I think that's a really exciting time, and it's really important time if you want to build a successful company to get that start bit right. So I love talking to those founders that are just like coming to us being like, I've been thinking about building something in that area. What are your thoughts on it? Do you know how the competitive landscape looks like? Do you know how I like basically build a pitch and all that? So I love talking to those companies and basically see them grow from the start on.
Right. Okay. So the whole point of this podcast is to help people understand those very first early moments of a company where you're sitting there with nothing at first, or most companies, the way they start, you don't have any clients yet. How do you get that very first customer? How did you get your very first customer?
So when we started, right at the beginning, we basically went into our network and started talking to people. And I think what's really important at the start is getting feedback. I think that's absolutely crucial. Talking to people that are within that area that could benefit from your solution or what you're trying to build, and talk to them about it. And you don't need anything for that. You don't need to have a product. It's enough to have an idea and just be like, what do you think about that? Would that be helpful for you? And if yes, what can we do better? And if not, like, why is it not helpful? And that's what we did at the start. So we talked to people in our network and we were like, we're looking to like offer this. We're looking to build something around this. Is this helpful for you as a founder? Does that like make things easier? And from that, we got loads of valuable feedback, and also our first client, which was an introduction from someone in our network. And they had a client, they were just expanding to Germany and they just needed some help with like setting everything up. So we got our first big client, and awesome. that was great right from the start, basically through talking to our network.
And so you weren't even necessarily trying to pitch them or hard sell them. You were just asking for feedback, and then that just led to a sale.
Yeah, right. Yeah, basically that.
Okay. So the value of the network. How did you build your network? Talk a little bit about what you were doing before this business, and then what made you decide to start this business.
Yeah, so I built my network a lot through events, online and offline events, kind of like pre-pandemic, and then a lot of online events. Right. And then I built it through writing content a lot. Okay. So I used to write a good bit on LinkedIn. I got like good insights and from other people, just like feedback from other people. And also just like reaching out, like I think being genuinely interested in other people that are in a similar industry definitely helps with like building that network, and offering help to them definitely helps as well.
Okay. And what field were you in before you were doing what you're doing now?
So I was working in a RegTech startup before that, and I was basically their first employee. They fired me just at the start, so I saw all the like chaos that the young startup has.
Right.
They fired me. I was in there to like build out the business development function, so I was talking to their first clients and also to like investors. So it was a bit of like a generalist role. And after that, I actually got hired by a recruitment agency to build out their fintech desk for the German market. So that was a new market as well. So I was building that out. And through that, I realized that there is kind of like a gap in the market for companies helping startups with not only the hiring part of things, but general like advisory on how to basically start your own business and what kind of mistakes to avoid and what avenues you can take to like build your own company. And that's how we started Staq, really, to kind of have a bit of an intersection between like a kind of like a management consultancy, but also kind of a recruitment partner. And that's where we are now.
Yeah, I think that I'm a part of a few projects that could use that help specifically. As a company grows, there's definitely these different layers that we seem to go through, to where once you get to a new layer, it's kind of a mystery. It's like, wait a minute, this is a totally new situation with different dynamics. Like now we need an HR department. What does that even mean? And
yeah, exactly. And like when you go through the different stages, like every stage is different. Like with every stage, the culture changes, like different like important things change all the time. So it's good to have like a partner on your side, I think, that can just like be like, okay, we've been in this scenario before, we know how other companies do it, we have a lot of insight in the market, like let's get you to where you want to be and like guide you along a little bit.
Okay. All right, let's zoom in even farther to that moment, maybe that every entrepreneur has, but what was the kind of moment you decided to start the business? Like talk a little bit about more what was going on and why you chose to start something new.
Yeah, it really just happened like through talking to like companies I was working with at the time, and just kind of like hearing their pain points and like being like, that's actually something that can be solvable. If they're like, oh, we actually need like some advice here and there. And like, yeah, it really just happened through that. And then at some point I was just like, I'll just do it. Like, why not give it a try and see how it works out?
So it was a natural progression from your skills and experience that you'd built up over the years. You just knew the answers to this whole area of problems. So it made sense for you to be the one to build a company around it. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I always want to like have my own company as well. So I always had that kind of like, when I was younger, I was working as a freelancer a lot, and I really enjoyed kind of having that freedom. So I think for me, it was kind of a natural progression to just be like, okay, I want a company that's myself and like my own like baby to work on. So yeah.
I understand that. Okay. So when you were talking to that first client that kind of naturally turned into a client, give us a little more perspective on that moment where you're having a conversation. How did you find out they wanted to do business with you? Like, zoom in a little farther into that first sale. Cause I know a lot of people, when they're starting a company, they're stuck in that kind of gray area from idea to executing some stuff and then trying to figure out who to target, how to target. And then there's kind of that amazing moment where you do get that very first check from a very first client. So give us paint that picture a little better for us.
Yeah. So the client that we were talking to at the time, it was an introduction from another company that we've been talking to, and they've been working with that company, and they basically gave us a warm introduction, which I think they're the best thing that can happen to you.
Okay.
They got us in touch, and we were basically just explaining to them how we're doing things, how we can help them. And it was just really the right timing. So they were like, that sounds perfect. That sounds exactly like what we need. And then we just started working together. And it was a great company to work with at the start because they got really big. Like just after we started working with them, they got a big funding round. They became a unicorn, and it was just like the perfect time for us to like be there. And it really helped us as well. I think not only like it's great having a client from like a revenue perspective and everything, but it also helped us just to give us some confidence at the start because we're like, we have this like great client like right from the start, and it helped us a lot to then like grow to the next clients because we had that. So I think that's really important.
Wait a minute. Your first customer turned into a unicorn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was great. Like
and so your company is what you're helping people with is growth. So every other sale after that, you can be like, hey, you want to grow? Well, we turn companies into unicorns.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was really good. But like when you're talking about like kind of researching like clients and like kind of finding the right person to talk to, I think it's really helpful to create just like a real good market map at the start. So we did that as well.
Okay.
And I'd advise every founder to like just do that, just like sit down and put some time aside to do some research on who's in the market, who could be like a potential client. Like it just takes so much work, like not only at the start, but like I have lists of companies that I did like a year or two ago. I'm still using them like so much because they're so valuable.
Okay. And so do you use any tools for market mapping or you give any recommendations there?
Not really tools. I know there's a few out there, but none off the top of my head. Like a lot of it just like happens like through like proper like researching, like on LinkedIn, for example. And most of the times, if you're in a specific, like either a specific vertical or a specific area, there is a lot of lists out there already. So you actually don't have to do all the work. If you search properly, you'll find them. And yeah, those can be really helpful just to kind of map the market out and just be like, okay, these are the companies like we want to work with maybe in the future. And it also helps you, depending on how detailed you do your lists, to kind of see how they grow over the years. So if you check them like a year later or something, you can kind of tell like, oh, how's it going for them? And then you want to work with them later stage.
So did you focus in on a certain niche industry or was it?
Yeah. So our main verticals, they're a bit like split between the team, but my focus is fintech. That's the area I'm most knowledgeable in, but we also focus on gaming and we also focus on Web3 and blockchain. Those are our main verticals.
What was the third one?
Blockchain and Web3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So those are the main areas. But like every now and then we get like, for example, a SaaS company reaching out or like an e-commerce platform reaching out. So yeah.
So did you choose those niche markets based on, like you said, maybe your past experience, or was that a result of the market research?
Yeah, really past experience and just knowledge that we have in a team. Like one of my colleagues, she's like really big into the gaming space. Like she's a gamer. So it was kind of like a natural thing to be like, let's go into markets where we know something about, but also markets that interest us. And I think if you're like, as a founder, if you're trying to like find your own niche, that's probably the best like area to go into, like something you know something about and also something you're interested in. So you already can say something to people, but you're also excited to learn more. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Okay. So even if your specific skill set or your specific job or industry that you're in may not be your passion, you can kind of layer in your passion to help you target a market to go after with your skills.
Yeah, I'd suggest that because it makes it just easier. Like having your own company can be like difficult at some
Right.
times. So it does help if you're passionate about it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. This is really interesting. And just to clarify, so a unicorn, that's what defined as $1 billion company?
Yeah.
Okay. And that company that you guys helped grow, that first customer, were they, where were they when you started working with them? What
So
size were they?
they just closed their Series A, I believe. I actually can't 100% remember. I think they just closed their Series A.
Okay.
And they were about to expand into different markets. So they were a French company, and they went into the German market, and they needed help to build that out. And we helped them with that.
Okay. And how long has Staq been in business?
We started 2021 in April.
Wow.
So almost 2 years.
So in less than 2 years, they went from raising money to $1 billion company.
Yeah. So yeah, basically.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, they were a really cool company, or they are a really cool company. So yeah, they were just a great first client to have because they
Right.
really helped us get started properly.
And so is there a certain size that a company has to be for you to work with them? Like, because I know that's one thing that I talk to people about is figuring out the target audience and, what level of company to go after. And you said you cover a pretty broad range from what pre-seed to pre-IPO, but what's the kind of details about that target audience?
Yeah, so our sweet spot would be like 50 people plus.
So you go by team size.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're not necessarily helping grow on the revenue or marketing or sales side as much as helping them with the inner workings of how to grow the team size as they're expanding.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
So
Cool.
that's kind of what we're targeting. I think, it always depends on your like product, what kind of like sizes or like stages you should go after. If you're working, like we're not really like working with large companies because it's very long sales cycles.
Right.
It just takes a lot of time, and we can't really be a value at that point. Like if it's an enterprise companies, we're like specifically focused on like startups. So that's not
Because if
what
they
we're
already have an HR department and everything, then they've kind of got that problem solved. Is that how you see it?
not necessarily,
Okay.
because there's always stages where you need like additional support. And again, with the other avenues where we like help with like partners or like investors, that can always be of like some help. So
Okay.
it's not only about like having an HR department, I'd say. But yeah, our ideal like customer has like around like 50 people usually. But again, like we're also working with companies that are like just at the start. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So I've got a few kind of rapid fire questions here that I like to ask people to see if you use different tools or technologies.
Yeah.
Maybe so your first customer came from your network and
Yeah.
talking to people, making content. So now this gets into a little bit of growing from here. Like how did you get your next customers right after that first, maybe that first few? And I'll just go down a list of different things and you can just say kind of yes or no, and we can get into some of those if you want.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When starting your company, did you use Twitter?
Yes.
All right. Facebook,
No.
Instagram,
Not really.
YouTube,
No.
all right. LinkedIn,
Yes.
Pinterest,
No.
okay. Reddit,
Not really.
Okay.
I'm sometimes active on Reddit,
All right.
and it's definitely something I want to explore further. I think there's a lot of value in Reddit, so not really and not yet, but
Okay.
definitely coming.
What about Snapchat?
No.
TikTok?
Yes.
Okay.
We just started with TikTok like a few months ago.
Okay.
And so far, it's going pretty well.
All right. What about Product Hunt?
No, not really. I'm sometimes active just to like research companies, but
Yeah.
not like actively contributing.
Okay. Medium?
Also, not really. But
Okay.
same thing. It's a great resource. It's great if you want to learn more about the companies you want to work with, because almost every company has something on Medium, and it's really good to kind of understand where they at. So yeah, it's a good channel to use, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered how companies use it because you think, well, we've got a company blog, so why put it on another
Yeah,
platform? But I guess it has a little bit of the social aspects of it too, and
it
discovery.
yeah, it does have that social aspect, and like one of the companies we're working with, they're using it quite actively, and they always put like it's like a monthly roundup on their Medium, which is like similar to a
Okay.
company blog, but like they do have a good like follower amount on it, and they just put down their updates, like how they're getting on their roadmap and all that, and that's pretty cool. Like, so you can definitely use it for that, and you might reach more people on Medium
Right.
than you would on your company blog. So
Okay.
yeah,
What about Quora?
no,
Okay. And does your company have your own blog?
no, we don't.
Really? Okay.
No, we don't. We're gonna start one in the next year. We're gonna get a new website and everything. So
Okay.
with that, we're gonna start that as well. But right now, no.
Okay. So that's interesting because earlier you were saying that you put out a lot of content. So where were you putting out
On
content?
LinkedIn mainly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard a lot more about people saying that LinkedIn is where it's at these days with maybe the other places are so crowded and then the business minded folks are just waiting for some good content there. What do you think about LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think if you know how to use it right, it can be very powerful. If you found your own niche, I think that's really important. Don't just like put some stuff out there. Like there's a lot of unvaluable things on LinkedIn as well. So I
Yeah.
think like if you're active on it, like focus on providing like real insights or like real opinions on something, and don't just like repost something for the 100th time. That's not giving anything to anyone. So yeah, it can be very powerful. You have to engage with your network. Definitely, like you can't just like put something up and expect great things to come. So definitely do that. But overall, I'd say it's very powerful to use it. Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing mostly posts or like the long form articles? I know they have
So
the article feature.
they do. Yeah. I used to write more articles on it. I haven't done that in a while because their engagement is not great
Really?
usually. Yeah. LinkedIn really decreased the engagement on articles and just overall like the amount of impressions you get. So it can be good if you, because it usually shows up on a Google search. Then if someone searches for it, your LinkedIn article would show up, so it can be okay for that, but overall it's not that great. Usually posts are better, and if you have like
Okay.
a photograph or something, or like a document you have attached to it, those give you the most engagement. So
So, so you didn't have your own blog. So when you were posting on LinkedIn, were you sending them anywhere, like offsite to get more info, or was it just you were posting long LinkedIn posts that they could just contact you as kind of the follow up?
yeah, I was mainly posting the articles on LinkedIn. I think I might have put something up on Medium at the start, but then I
Okay.
didn't really follow through with it. So I just like stick to LinkedIn because I knew that that's where the people I wanted to talk to were anyways.
Yeah.
And if I already have the engagement there, like let's just keep it like that.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So no blog on your site yet. What about a forum or other niche industry type site?
No, not really.
Okay. G2,
No,
Capterra,
no,
Trustpilot.
no.
Okay. All right. And what about any form of advertising? Did you do any paid promotion type things?
No, we didn't.
No.
Yeah, we didn't really see the value in it just yet.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so you haven't done any since you've launched.
No, we didn't.
Wow. So pure traditional sales in a way, other than the content marketing.
Yeah, so yeah, the content part is a big piece, and then like the traditional sales. And we do check that we go to a lot of events and stuff. So
Okay.
that's something that I think is really, really helpful. Even if it's not to like find a customer, it's good to build your network. And the easiest way is being at an event, I'd say.
In person.
Yeah. So we're looking to go to like networking events, general like industry specific events. We're hosting our own every now and then.
Okay.
And yeah, that proved to be like pretty good because it's really about like building meaningful connections with people. So
Right.
that's the best way to do it, I'd say.
Wow. It's interesting because like each person I talk to has kind of different like little golden rules that they stick to and believe and follow through with. So that's really neat. Okay. What about cold calling?
No.
It's like you're saying, it's more about the relationship. So you're not just going to randomly. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think with cold calling, it can be effective. Like I've heard from like, obviously it can be effective. People have been using it for ages.
Right.
I think it just wasn't anything for us at the start. Because we really wanted to like build the brand and build the trust around it. And cold calling can sometimes, like put a lot of people off because they're like, why are they calling me again?
Right.
So
like spam.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't want to spam people. And I think with cold calling, like it's a lot of time to put into it for like not that much of reward sometimes, unless you have someone that's a great cold caller, really. So yeah, it just really wasn't our focus.
Okay. So it wouldn't be called cold calling, but there is some level of making the first introduction, like at an event, in person, even at some point you're making new connections.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that part, because it seems like you're really good at that new in-person connection. Like you're expanding your network. So at some point you're meeting people you've never met. How do you go about that moment of making a new connection?
Yeah, it's really just like talking to people, like getting to know them. Don't try to sell anyone on the spot. Like, please never do that. That won't work. So if you're like, let's say you're meeting someone at an event, it's really about like meeting them, like be genuinely interested in what they're doing and talk with them about, for example, if they have their own company, talk with them about that because everyone loves talking about that. So it does help. Like if you're talking to them, find some, like, I don't know if you have common interests or if you're in a similar niche, like find some topics to talk with them about. And yeah, that's really it. But like people know if you're not really interested in them. So if you're not really interested in what the other person has to say, maybe just don't talk to them at all. So just like be genuinely interested. see if there's ways where you can help them, for example. That's always good if they're like talking to you and they're talking about a specific issue they're facing or a specific challenge they're facing. Like, see if there's something you can help them with, and they'll return that favor, like, usually. So
yeah, that's good. I feel like you could do a course on like in-person selling at events. That's good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's not that difficult, I think, like talking to people at events. You have to be proactive, and you just have to like get it started. So
yeah. All right. What about snail mail, postcards, letters, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Maybe for Christmas now, do send some.
Okay, but it would be it would be after the sale. Like if they were a client, you would reach out, but you wouldn't do it without. Okay. Flyers.
No.
That's going way back, old school. What about influencer ads, like some kind of social influencer partnership or something like that?
No, because it doesn't really fit to what we're doing too much. And we're like trying to establish our brand now in the market, like for example with TikTok. So we wouldn't really go with like an influencer, but if you have a product that would work with something like that, definitely do it. Like I see no reason why you wouldn't do that. It's way better than, I'm not saying like way better, but in some ways it can be way better than like traditional ads, for example, because you know that they have a specific client group that you want to target, and they're like almost all of them are your target group. So definitely do that if you have a product that fits. So
it seems like an extension of that. If you're at an event and there's going to be certain speakers at the event, so if you're doing like selfies with each other or something like that, it's like a form, it's like an organic version of influencer marketing when you're associating yourself with people at certain events, possibly.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, if you find someone that's really influential and you take a selfie.
Yeah. What about email marketing?
So we don't really do that right now. It's all something that we want to look into. We're doing a little bit of just like cold email outreach, but it's not really like a proper campaign that we're doing. So we're doing a little bit of that.
But it is a cold email, you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing that a bit on the side. I think similar to cold calling, it's sometimes feels like a lot of like effort you have to put into, and then the reward is kind of so-so, because you can have like an open rate of like, I don't know, 80%, and then a response rate of like 4. So we're not really too focused on that. At the start, we were working with a company that was doing kind of like a lead generation. They would do like outreach, but we literally canceled that after months because it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So we were like, okay, we'd rather not, but see.
All right. And what about retargeting, or I guess that falls into ads as well. If you're not running any ads, then you're not doing any kind of retargeting.
Yeah.
So how do you follow up with the connections you make at an event, for example?
So usually you would connect with them if there is like, if you have a really good conversation with someone, you can always already like suggest like a follow-up. If you have their number or something, you can always like call them or send them a message and just be like, hey, do you want to meet up for like a coffee or something? It really depends on how the conversation goes, I'd say. If you just have like a quick chat with them, you can just be like, send them a message the next day, be like, hey, great chatting to you yesterday. I'd love to talk further, do you know? So
do you usually use email or text or LinkedIn message? What's the medium that you usually communicate through with clients?
Bit of a mix. So LinkedIn messages are the easiest, I think, for most people to just like, okay, let's connect on LinkedIn. It's the easiest to get. Not too many people are walking around with business cards. So if you have a business card, I'd always send an email. I think that always works better. And of course, if you have a phone number or like WhatsApp, just text them there or just call them. That works as well. So
okay,
it's a bit on what information you get.
yeah, of course. All right, so you got the big first customer. How has growth been since you started?
It's going really well. So we grew the team. We're 7 people now. So we started as a founder trio. We hired a few people. It's been going really well. And on the client side as well, I think we got over 100 companies we worked with. So
Over 100?
That's really good. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So no, it went really well. We're really happy with everything. So yeah.
That's awesome. And what's the goal for Staq? Are you looking to grow it and sell, or what's kind of your forward projection?
Yeah, so we're definitely looking to grow it over the next couple of years, and then we'll really see how things are planning out. If we sell it maybe at some point, or if there's other avenues that we can build it out even. If there's other, like, if we want to develop a bit more like products, for example, that could help our clients, that could be an avenue to take for us just on like a general growth. Or like, again, if we sell it, we'll see how everything plans out.
Yeah. It's hard to predict exactly how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been awesome. Why don't we close out with any advice you might have for somebody who's trying to get something started? They're looking to get their first customers. Kind of the last piece of advice maybe that you see as the most important thing to focus on in that period before they've gotten their first customer.
So I think the most important thing is like really to talk to your network, get feedback, and like talk to people about what you're building. Really like take their feedback on board when they suggest something. And if you're talking to people to get feedback, like have your own questions ready that you want to ask them. Like don't only go into like, I don't know, like a demo and just explain everything and then just wait for them to come up with some solutions or some pain points they might see in your product. It's really about guiding them through that, and then ask some problems that you might have pre-identified on what could go wrong, and really dig into that. So you, at the end, have like a really good product or really good service. And then with that, you can basically talk back to them and just like re-engage with them. And they might become your first customer then. So
awesome. Now, if anybody wants to look up Staq, hire you guys, why don't you give us the quick pitch for what Staq does and then where we can find you on the internet?
Yeah, so we're at Staq helping tech companies scale. We help them in different areas. We connect them to VCs, partners, and people. We're mainly active in Europe, and you can find us on our website, which is Staq Team. That's one word. Or you can find us on LinkedIn under Staq, or on TikTok at Hello Staq.
That's perfect. All right, Caren, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.